Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of 8 News Real Talk. I'm your host, Tannock, Blair, and with me as always is my co-host, Julia Broberg.
Hello.
Hey, Julia.
Hi, Tannock.
This week is a little different. We were planning to see the new Springsteen film, but then my team made it through to the World Series, and
I didn't want to see it. I did not want to see
we
it.
reserved the option to maybe watch it next week and talk about it. But being that it is spooky season and so close to Halloween, we figured we'd talk a little bit about horror movie screenings in our area, and we went to see a horror movie marathon at the Alamo Drafthouse in Charlottesville over the weekend. We thought we might talk about some of those films. Essentially, Alamo Drafthouse does this every year. There's a lot of special screenings from local theaters and things this time of year. We'll talk a little bit about The Bird, who's always got special screenings, and even Bowtie over at Boulevard Square. But Alamo Drafthouse, starting out in Austin, the very first location, has become a huge franchise now. They recently got bought out by Sony or something, but
which Anson has some things to say about that. If we had Anson on, he would have some things to say.
But it's been a tradition very early on that around Halloween time every year they do a horror movie marathon, sort of a combination of hidden gems and deservedly forgotten trash.
Garbage films,
Right.
but that are so good, so bad they're good.
That is so fun to watch with a in a theater with an audience. And so this was my third year going. This was your second year. We went last year together
it's
as
the
well.
best day of my life. I don't say that lightly. It's a great event.
We do look forward to it every year. And we got to see 4 films that were complete surprises to us that we'd never seen before. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about each of them, but try not to turn this into a 2-hour episode or anything with the usual runtime. But let's start with the first film. This is an appropriately meta choice for a movie marathon, Halloween inspired.
And probably my
marathon.
favorite of the bunch. My favorite of the 4 that we saw.
I think this is probably my favorite as well. It's called Popcorn from 1991, directed by Mark Herrier. Who I'd never heard of. It turns out this is the only film he ever directed.
And this is the only one that he should ever direct. I think he could just leave it with this one and he'd be fine.
He actually was an actor. I think the biggest credit I saw, he was one of the actors from Porky's.
For sure. Right.
And there's more than one connection to Porky's in that there were many people in the crew and people who making this film behind the scenes that were sort of part of the Bob Clark sphere of influence, his realm. So famously, Bob Clark, most people know him probably from A Christmas Story. He also directed what many argue to be the very first slasher film with Black Christmas, which we might talk about when we get closer, as we're getting closer and closer to the holidays. But an incredible filmmaker, and I'm a huge fan of his weird Canadian troupe of misfits that were making movies like this. And Popcorn is no different. This was a real crowd pleaser and a really special film.
It was a great way to kick it off. It was just really fun. It's cheesy. It's got a lot of, which I did not feel like it was from the 90s. I thought it was from the 80s. It has a very 80s feel to it once you're introduced to this little ragtag team of crazy college students, which kind of look like adults, but that's always how it is.
Real quick, do you mind telling us what it's about? I just swoop in there before
and
I got hit with that.
Come across your face that you were like, I can't wait to just drop this on her because I forgot we had to do that.
Yeah.
It's about these kids, college students, are throwing a film fest. Again, like you were saying, it's a meta thing.
Yeah.
Because they're doing their own little horror fest.
Mm-hmm. And they are film students themselves.
Yes, they're film students themselves. They're doing this at this old theater. And there's a little bit of a dark past to this theater. First of all, the movie opens on this girl, I forget her name, having a bunch of
weird dreams.
Weird premonition type dreams where it's this guy. We'll get into that later. And so they're doing this film fest, and so you find out that there's this dark past to the theater where a death occurred. This guy that was making a film killed this family like in the theater live in front of an audience to finish out this film, and they find the film. And so it's all about how this person comes back to finish the job that he started.
It's mainly, and this is what you were getting at earlier about this being very surprisingly funny. It's mainly an excuse to play with a bunch of William Castle inspired goofs and gags, gimmicks for the horror movies. Like the way they're trying to sell the festival and get people to come is that they're going to bring back all of the old gimmicks. So there's like a smell-o-vision one. There's a Tingler inspired like shock, electroshock thing where some of the seats are rigged to electrocute people. Yeah, and so it's really some of the best parts of the movie is the parody versions of those films that you get to see play out on the screen. I think the original director was Alan Ormsby, who is credited as the writer of the film, but he uses a pseudonym, Todd Hackett. He also wrote Paul Schrader's Cat People, and there's some other credits. He is like a very interesting filmmaker. He was the original director, and he got dropped early in the production. And I found one of the reasons that was listed was that he was getting too into the parody films and wanting to spend like tons and tons of times like fleshing out the parody films.
That is hilarious.
With a really like close attention to detail, which I think is why the first two films have way more attention than the third one, which gets like one scene. Yeah. And it's also when you're sort of ramping up in the action.
They're
of
like,
the
Hackett, we got to cut you off, buddy. Yeah. You've been spending too much time on Mosquito and the stench. We need you to focus on the film. Mosquito is so good. Yeah. The Mosquito one was very, very funny.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a huge crowd pleaser. It's also surprisingly meta for 1991. Like this predates Scream by about 5 years before like we truly get into the late 90s, early 2000s. All horror becomes tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also comes out before Joe Dante's Matinee, which has a very similar premise to riffing on the William Castle movies.
I believe you said you believe this is better than a Matinee?
I do. I stand by that. Yeah, okay. I think, I love this film. This was great. I would give it 4 stars and recommend everyone goes and finds it if they can.
I would give it a 4-star too. It's fun.
There we go. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Let's talk about movie 2.
Blood Feast.
Blood Feast. From 1963.
A classic.
I'm not going to play a trailer here.
Because you've all seen it. I mean, why do you need to play a trailer?
I did go through the trouble of putting a trailer in here at first, and then I realized I was going to have to blur out the entire trailer because it is just
it's a
blood and
feast.
Guts and gore. It's one of those kinds of gory movies where it doesn't look have any semblance to reality. It doesn't look anywhere close to real. It's just bright red, food coloring, paint or whatever. But in that regard, this is an important film in the history of cinema, of gore cinema. This is sort of credited as like the first splatter film, coming out in 1963, which is only a few years after Psycho, which was pushing the boundaries for its time. But even then, Hitchcock had to make it black and white. He had to do some very tasteful editing trickery to sort of imply violence without showing it. This film implies nothing.
Nothing's left up to the imagination.
It just shows all of the violence. It's sort of tame by today's standards, but it's still, it's still gory enough that if you're a gore fan, it'll do the trick for you, I think.
Yeah.
The only problem is that it has absolutely nothing else going for it. This is a terrible movie in every other respect. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in a theater.
Yeah, it was.
It was so bad.
It was bad. The acting is terrible, but it's like camp funny. Like it's so bad. Yeah. They have to be aware.
Yeah.
The main
guy
at
times, and then other times it's just slow and boring, and nothing's happening.
But it's so funny to watch the detectives be terrible at whatever. Like it's just these shots of them in their office where they're like, "By God, we gotta find this guy," and they slam their fist on the desk and they run out, and that happens like 6 times.
Yeah.
And then the main killer guy has like a limp, and that's not so it's supposed to prevent him, I think, from running, but then he just kind of runs with a limp. And so it's just...
And the actor doesn't really commit to it.
He doesn't commit to the limp, and that's a big problem with this film, is he does not commit to the
limp. Yeah, this one I would not recommend for anyone unless you're a huge fan of cinema history or you are a big gore fan.
It's pretty short, though.
It is, yeah, but it doesn't feel like it.
Well, that's true.
I think it's 67 minutes or something, or it's just over the hour mark. But it'll feel like 2 hours as you're watching it, as you're watching the slow pan across a dead body
covered in blood.
That feels like it goes on for 30 minutes.
And then you see the detectives like that have this face like, you're like, you found the body of the killer that you've been looking for this whole movie, and they're like, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's a tough one. All right, let's get on movie 3.
Yeah,
we'll be right back. All right. Movie number 3 is Stephen King's Sleepwalkers.
A masterpiece.
It was the first screenplay he wrote for film that's not an adaptation of any of his books or anything, but...
Because you watch the film and you're like, oh, well, even if I don't understand the lore now, I can just read the book that this is based on and I'll understand. Wrong.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
I was going to get to that. That is one of the biggest weaknesses of the film. No, I'm glad you brought it up. Is that there is very little fleshing out of the mythology, or perhaps just not a good enough explanation of the mythology. Maybe, in King's head, his coke-fueled brain.
What do you mean? Stephen King
I think technically
drugs.
he was sober in this period, to be fair. I think
you couldn't
92.
Tell. You wouldn't be able to tell.
You
would not be able to tell.
But
he's telling his wife, he's like, I swear I'm sober. Look at my new script. And it's Sleepwalkers. I'd be suspicious.
It is directed by Mick Garris, who is a very good director, actually, for these sorts of low-budget horror movies, and a bit of a regular for adapting King's work. He did like a 2-part TV special adaptation of The Shining that King, because famously he hates the version from Kubrick. He posits Garris's version as the best version of The Shining. It's pretty good, but it's definitely not. It's not Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
But he also made Critters 2, which is the best Critters film of that franchise.
Hey, and I've always said that.
Which
I've never seen any of the Critters films.
Sat down and forced myself to watch all of them earlier this year.
You know how awesome it was to log into Letterboxd and see what has Tannock seen today? And then it's Critters 3, Critters 4. Oh, he's doing all of the... Did you do that with the Leprechaun?
I did the Leprechaun movies earlier this year as well. That was tough. Those are all bad. There's not a single good movie among them. But
anyway, sorry, tangent.
Yeah. Back to Sleepwalkers. What's it about, Julia?
Don't do this to me. Fine.
We didn't even talk about what Blood Feast is about because it's not even worth it.
There are a species of feline shape-shifting beasts. Vampires.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. Mother and son. There's some incestual stuff going on, which is tough. Because Stephen King will be like, it's a story about, you're watching a Stephen King movie and it's like, this is a story about feline shapeshifters. Mm-hmm. Certainly that's enough to like fill a movie and get, and Stephen King's like, what if we threw some incest in there just for good measure? And you're like, why does this need to be part of, anyway, sorry.
No, I mean, it's his thing to, implement trauma, and all of his characters have this. There's sort of, parallels to abuse in the way that, that the male character, I can't remember what his name is.
I mean, Charles Bradley.
Thank you. He sort of takes advantage of a girl because the whole goal of him and his mother is they're trying to find someone to feed off of and keep living as vampires do.
Apparently the mom can't go out and do it, the son has to, but then she gains this second wind towards the end where since her son is dying on the couch, she's like, suddenly she has all the strength in the world and she can shapeshift.
It is convenient, isn't it?
Isn't it?
But movies got to do that sometimes, I guess. No, I mean, we're hopping on the negatives of this film, but there's a lot to love about it as well.
100%.
I think because it is King, his writing for characters and dialogue, even when the plotting is a little questionable, as you mentioned, kind of weird that the mother who is like bedridden and talking about how weak she is suddenly becomes this force of nature at the end of the film when it's convenient for her to start ripping people apart.
Yeah.
But
she starts killing cops by just like throwing them into like cars and walls and stuff. You're like, okay, I guess he's dead because she threw him into the wall.
Yeah. This was maybe the weirdest film of the four we watched.
Yeah.
Like, which is strange because it also doesn't feel like the lowest budget or, it's a Stephen King film made in 1992, like when he's at the peak of his popularity. But it's just so strange. And it's strange in good ways and bad ways, I think.
Because, and I turned Tannock in a test, so they are these feline creatures, but their arch nemesis or one of their big weaknesses is cats. And so I turned to you and I said, like, why are they afraid of cats if they are also cats? Why scared of cat if cat? And you went, we're gonna figure that out. Or not. Or maybe not. That was my favorite Tannock moment of the day.
My go-to, because people do this all the time, right? When you're watching films with people, like my fiance does this always when she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, well, let the movie unveil it. Like, it's a mystery. It'll get to revealing that at some point. And I sort of said that to you. And then it never revealed or explained at that point.
Well, you said it and then you sat for a second and you went, or maybe it won't. I'm like, at least you acknowledge that there is a large possibility it won't explain why. And they never do.
And they never do.
These cats, because they will see a cat and start tweaking out. Like, they will start crashing out. And then a cat's like permanently damage them.
If you can get past it, or if you can get on the same wavelength of it, to see someone like getting attacked by a cat and doing this, and it's not supposed to be totally silly. Your mileage will vary heavily on this film. I think some people we went to see these four films with, one of our the people with us was not enthused at all by that, I think.
Yeah, no,
I think
not
that
at all.
Was like the thing that really took them out of it, and they couldn't get invested in any of the character stuff going on.
Why do they want to hurt the cats?
Yeah. But yeah, this is good. This is a 3-star.
Yeah.
It's solid. Recommend it. And it's, very strange. If you're looking for something weird this Halloween, this might be the one for it.
Might be the one for you.
All right, we got one more. We will be right back. All right, and our last film from Dismember the Alamo was Trick or Treat. Not to be confused with Trick or Treat.
Tannock, tell us what this movie's about. Tell us what Trick or Treat's about. I just get a jump on it.
Yeah, I deserve that. Trick or Treat. It's directed by Charles Martin Smith, who I'm not super familiar with. I think this is maybe one of his only credits. It is about a phantom rock star haunting a kid. It's very similar to Christine, actually, from Stephen King. The idea of a kid in high school who's bullied because he's different. In this case, he's a metalhead. And he finds out that his hero, his idol, this rock star called Sammy Carr, is that right?
Sammy Kerr, I
think.
Thank you. I think you were just one letter off. I might be wrong,
though. Has died. And he's heartbroken about it. He goes to his local metal radio DJ, who's sort of like a friend of his because he doesn't have any other friends. And the DJ gives him what is apparently the last known recording or the album that his rockstar hero was working on before he died, called Songs in the Key of Death, which I love as a reference to Stevie Wonder. And when he starts playing the record, he starts hearing, some weird sounds, and then he starts playing the record backwards, which is a classic trope and sort of pop culture of hidden messages on records when you play them backwards. And he inadvertently ends up bringing his hero back from the dead as a sort of demonic spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the rest of the film is him trying to put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak. And there's a lot of rock music in between. There's some great cameos from Gene Simmons as the DJ, the radio host, and also Ozzy Osbourne as a preacher on the TV who's sort of complaining about or forewarning about the satanic panic of the time, which is really all funny. Tied up in there he is.
There he is.
Yeah, what did you think of Trick or Treat?
I thought it was fun because this was the last movie that we saw of the grouping. I was kind of like tuckered out by now, and I was kind of fading a little bit. But I think if it had, yeah, it happens every year. Oh, 13 Ghosts was last year. I was about to fall asleep. Good movie though.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was good. If it had been a little earlier, I think I would have been like all on board because it is very fun. It's a super cool concept. There's a lot of cool effects and good performances, and it's just it's a fun little horror flick.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Beautifully shot. I think it's like the most like visually appealing of all the films we saw. Yeah, I agree. It's at points it's sort of it felt like it could have been a PG-13 sort of like teen film.
Yeah.
But then it has these random moments of violence that is like, well, if you were going to do that, why not lean into that more and make it more of an R-rated horror movie? It feels like it's got one foot in both worlds, which I think doesn't help it. I would have liked it to pick a line one way or the other, but yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was another 3-star for me, I think.
Yeah.
To close out the festival or the event. But I did want to mention we've got a couple of other showings. Let's see here. This was Dismember the Alamo. It will be back next year. I think they're also planning potentially on doing something in December. They've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Which is, again, still horror movie themed, but it will be Christmas themed horror movies, which is kind of cute.
And you would think like there can only be so many horror Christmas movies. You would be wrong.
You would be wrong.
There's so many more than you think. Anson could come in here and list them all off the top of his head.
We also have The Bird always has special programming. I mean, all month they've been putting on really terrific stuff.
I saw Practical Magic last year, The Bird, and it was a magical experience.
Yeah, that's a fun movie. I saw it recently on an airplane. That was a good airplane movie. But,
I could see that.
Yeah, that's a good sort of hidden gem as well. I think they play that every year. They've got a couple more horror movies after Halloween, but of course on Halloween they'll be playing John Carpenter's 1978 slasher classic. And same with Bowtie, Boulevard Square. But if you're looking for something else, they've got Twilight 1 and 2 playing this week as well. So I guess they're going to play through all of those.
That's where I'll be. If y'all want to find me, I'll be at the Twilight.
All 5 of them, I should say, returning to theaters. But yeah, it's the time of year, I think, when it's exciting to go to the theater and see something that isn't just a new release, but is sort of tied up in the spooky season of it all. And it was awesome to do it last weekend with you.
I had a great time.
But for those of you who don't like going to the theater, don't want to deal with the traffic or trick-or-treaters on the road.
Kids having fun. Boo.
For those of you who want to watch movies at home, we have a couple of recommendations just from this year that we've already reviewed, in fact. What would you recommend, Julia, to our audience to watch at home? Demand.
I liked Weapons, which is on, I think it's on HBO.
Zach Krieger.
Which was good.
Excellent.
There's another movie, I don't know if it's really necessarily a horror, but I think it was an underlooked little psychological thriller moment. It's called Lurker, and it was really good. I don't know if it's on demand right now, but when it does, I would tell people to check it out. It was interesting.
Okay.
It was kind of
cool.
Spooky.
Was that was an A24 release or something?
I think so, yeah. And it's about like obsession of a fan with an artist.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. And I liked 28 Years Later. I thought that was a good continuation of the
that was excellent too. That's the type of movie that blends many genres in there, but of course has its roots deeply in horror. Similarly, genre bending, I'd recommend Sinners. We talked about that earlier this year. You can go check out our review. I think we both gave it 5 stars. And then, I don't know, Final Destination Bloodlines was great.
Yeah.
Together was good. Bring Her Back.
I like Bring Her Back.
So yeah, there's a lot of good options in there, but I think if I had to pick one, I think you're right. Weapons would be my pick for the one to check out this year.
Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for this sort of special Halloween episode of Real Talk. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming next week.
Happy Halloween.
All right. Have a good one, folks.